teaching. First, we have to talk about the background of audiolingual method. In 1929, the Coleman report commented a reading-based approach in foreign language teaching. If we go the history of audiolingual method, and he said that reading comprehension is the main way of teaching foreign language. Who said? Coleman in his report 1929. And where rapid silent reading, okay, reading is a skill. Once upon a time I had been thinking that we know how to read, how reading can be a skill, is it? But there is a strategy. That is a fast reader, slow reader, moderate reader. Okay, if you read 100 words in a minute, you might be the fast reader. If you read 50 words in a minute, that would be the moderate reader. If you can read 20 or 10 words in a minute, that would be a style and how you will be reading. Okay, at the time, many of us we read making sound. Many of us we read making our lips jumping. আমরা শব্দ হচ্ছে না কিন্তু ঠোঁট নড়ছে যে আমি এটা কিছু করছি, কিছুটা করছি কিন্তু ঠোঁট নড়ছে. So what is the reading habit? So observing such kind of tendency, this man Coleman, he reported that actually foreign language reading might be quite effective if we encourage silent reading comprehension. That means you have to read a text, you will be silent, and you will be reading, and you will be understanding and think what you are reading. And sometimes teachers discuss the content of reading text. Then, if we are ready to read silent reading, but what text we will be reading? That was a question, and that story goes back in 1929 when Coleman said that we should practice silent reading comprehension. So the text is not available at the time. At the time, linguist like Darian in 1972 called audiolingual method a modified direct method. Previously we have seen, that is, repeat after me. That means I will say a letter, or I will say a word, I will say a sentence, and the student will repeat what they have learned from the teachers. That is the repeat and drill. Repetition and drill. Repetition and drill will be the subject in audiolingual method. And for this reason, Darian in 1972 actually he called that there is no difference between audiolingualism and the direct method. Okay, but there is a systematic approach to treat sentence pattern. In audiolingualism, we see sentence pattern will be there, and grammar vocabulary is applied in audiolingualism. Not much emphasis given to grammar, sentence pattern, vocabulary for beginning, intermediate, and advanced learners. So, just like the direct method, audiolingualism, we will see there will not be much emphasis on grammar, structure that we have observed in case of GTM or grammar translation method. We haven't observed that grammar is important. That means you have to learn quickly as a language, and what type of language that would be applicable for your day-to-day conversation, that would be applicable for your daily conversation, what you are supposed to do daily whenever you will be going to a foreign country or abroad. Okay, so that is the conception. That means in 1929 Coleman report about this, but after that US entered in the Second World War. So US entry to the World War II create a language, GTM, Latin and grammar teaching method. Okay, and then we have said direct. Okay, but here whenever USA entered to the Second World War, that impact on the foreign language teaching much in America. Why? US government was trying to have officers who are fluent in Germany, French, Italy, Chinese, Japanese, Malay, and other languages. Why? Because Second World War was a multinational, it was a world war. So multinational countries or many countries were involved will be there, and many countries soldiers' language will be different. And for this reason, US Army thought that they have to understand the language of the soldiers working against US Army. And for this reason, they need some officers. They will be understanding the French language, German language, so that they can what the soldiers are talking. If I speak Bengali, আমি যদি বাংলা ভাষায় কথা বলি অন্যরা তো শুনবে না। আমেরিকার যুদ্ধের সময় সেটাই হলো, দ্বিতীয় বিশ্বযুদ্ধের সময় আমেরিকা চাচ্ছিল যে ওই দেশে ভিন্ন দেশের সোলজাররা কি বলছে এটা তাদেরকে জানা দরকার। এজন্য তাদের কি করা দরকার, কুইকলি কিছু অফিসার দরকার যারা অন্য ভাষাগুলো জানে। তো সেটা তো শেখাতে হবে তাদের অফিসারকে, তাদের সোলজারদের শেখাতে হবে। ওকে, অ্যান্ড ফর দিস রিজন দোজ পারসন could work as interpreter, code room assistants in military. They pass message using some code, and that can be understood by the soldiers only. And if anybody doesn't know the French language, the French code cannot be decoded. So it's needed that US Army was needed to decode the code written in French or Russian or German language, and translator as well. So there was the necessity of us, that means US Army. To fill up these demands, US Army, it was necessary to set up a special language training program in America. So that is the demand, and they set up. And US government commissioned American university to develop foreign language teaching programs for military personnel. Okay, it is assumed that it is. Once upon a time, it was said that actually the water level of Saudi Arabia was declined very low. Okay, and then Saudi Arabia invested an amount and gave it to Harvard University, most probably, that to research on this, and they can get the water level up, so that they are getting so many green areas in Saudi Arabia at present for the research. And for this reason, university will be producing knowledge. At the same way, US Army that commission and give that demands to make a commission to make the language. And for this reason, an Army Specialist Training Program, ASTP, was established in 1942, in which 55 American universities were involved. Okay, how many? 55. And in the beginning of 1943. And the objective of this army program was to attain the conversational fluency in a variety of languages. Conversational fluency. So that commission was established in 1942 with 55 universities, and they started to teach the officers, especially the army officers, what type of capacity? Conversational capacity. How they can converse with others in the target language if they are learning. Leonard Bloomfield at Yale at that time developed a foreign language training program, but textbook was unavailable. Okay, that was. And Bloomfield's technique was known as informant method, where a native speaker becomes the informant, or the source, who was the source of phrase, vocabulary, sentence, and grammar. That means the native speakers. Suppose US Army wants to study French language. In that case, native speaker, that means foreign speaker, will be the informant. What he will do? Informant মানে informer বলতে পারি, যারা informer, হচ্ছে informer. Okay, সেক্ষেত্রে এই Bloomfield যে পদ্ধতি অবলম্বন করলো, সেখানে একজন ফরেন স্পিকার, নেটিভ স্পিকার কি রোল পালন করবে? ইনফরম্যান্ট। এবং তার কাজ কি? আমি বাংলা ভাষায় যে কথাগুলো বলতে পারবো সুন্দরভাবে, সেগুলো তো হচ্ছে অন্য ভাষায় বলতে পারবো না। তো যদি কেউ বাংলা শিখতে চাই, এই পদ্ধতি, ব্লুমফিল্ডের পদ্ধতি অবলম্বন করে, তাহলে বাংলা ভাষাভাষী একজন পালন করবে কি? ইনফরম্যান্ট। তার কাজ কি? বিভিন্ন ফ্রেজ, ভাষা, বিভিন্ন কিছু এই টার্গেট যারা ভাষা শিখতে চায় তাদেরকে বলানো বা শেখানো। So the informant who becomes the informant who was the source of phrase, vocabulary, sentence and grammar. After that, this Bloomfield initiated. Whereas a linguist was assigned to supervise as well as to elicit the basic structure of the language. Because you want to know the basic conversation. So why grammar is so necessary? So linguist will be, foreign speakers, native speaker will be the informant. He is not linguist. A linguist, what will do? He will deduct, he will not include. Grammatical যে পোর্শনগুলো, একটা সেন্টেন্স, আই অ্যাম হাংরি, গিভ মি আ গ্লাস অফ ওয়াটার, এটা একটা পুরো সেন্টেন্স। ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ বলবে যে না, ওকে, হাংরি, মে আই হ্যাভ এ গ্লাস অফ ওয়াটার, আ গ্লাস অফ ওয়াটার প্লিজ, আ গ্লাস অফ ওয়াটার প্লিজ, ইটস নট আ সেন্টেন্স। তার মানে গ্রামাটিক্যাল অপশনটা কী করলো? ডিডাক্ট করলে এই হাংরি, আ গ্লাস অফ ওয়াটার প্লিজ, আ কাপ অফ কফি প্লিজ, ওকে, মে আই হ্যাভ আ কাপ অফ কফি প্লিজ, এরকম ফুল সেন্টেন্স না বলে লিঙ্গুইস্ট সেটাকে কী করছে? ডিডাক্ট করছে, যাতে কি ওই ফুল সেন্টেন্সটা শেখা লার্নারদের জন্য কঠিন হবে। তো যখন বলবে যে হাংরি, মে আই হ্যাভ আ বানানা প্লিজ, এই যে বানানা, আ বানানা প্লিজ, elicit the grammar structure. It was necessary for the linguist to know the language. However, to reduce the basic structure from the conversation was the linguist's duty. Learner and the linguist were to take part in the guided conversation in the process of informant. And learner gradually learned how to use language as well as to understand the basic grammar of the language. And learners study, look here, repeat after me, that means the parrot style. Learners study 10 hours a day, 10 hours a day. That means 8টা থেকে সকাল যদি এই যে সকাল 8টা থেকে যদি শুরু করে তাহলে 10 ঘন্টা হলে কয় ঘন্টা হয়? 6টা পর্যন্ত। কত ঘন্টা চেষ্টা করতে হবে? 10 ঘন্টা a day, 6 days in a week, একদিন খালি ছুটি, 6 days in a week, মানে সপ্তাহে কত ঘন্টা সে প্র্যাকটিস করবেন? 60 ঘন্টা। 15 hours drill with the native speakers, 20 to 30 hours of private study. তার মানে এই এক সপ্তাহের মধ্যে কি করবে? আবার 15 ঘন্টা কি করবে সে নেটিভ স্পিকারে, 20 hours and 30 hours to the private study, and 2 to 3 6 week sessions, 2 to 3 2 weeks এর সেশন হতে পারে অথবা 3 weeks এর সেশন হতে পারে, এবং সেই এটা 6 উইকের সেশন হতে পারে। স্মল ক্লাসেস with mature and highly motivated learner. Mature and highly motivated learner. Motivation will play the vital factor. If you think that I can do, anybody can hinder your desire. I can do. And also with the power of your mind, with the power of your confidence, that can reach you where you want to see yourself. আপনি যেখানে যেভাবে আপনাকে দেখতে চান সেটাকে পৌঁছানোর একমাত্রই তরিকা হলো আপনি কতটা মোটিভেটেড। অডিও লিঙ্গুয়ালিজম, এই যে প্রতিদিন 10 ঘন্টা করে প্র্যাকটিস, তারপরে হলো সপ্তাহে 6 দিন, এটা তখনই সম্ভব যখন আপনি কি হাইলি মোটিভেটেড হবেন যে এটা আমাকে করতেই হবে, এটা আমাকে পারতেই হবে। ওকে, so that audiolingualism becomes effective for the highly motivated and mature learners. They will be drilling, they will be repeating hours after hours in a day after day. Okay, so that is method is effective. So army method lasted only for 2 years, and it attached the attention to the popular press and academic community. And next 10 years, linguists discussed the suitability of the army method in regular language teaching program. Linguists say that there is no basic difference between army method and direct method. Army method and direct method. But what is our concern? Our hottest concern, they say also that there are the oral based approach of language teaching and learning where there is no theory. Okay. And becoming the major international power, America felt the growing. Another thing is that after the Second World War, America became the major economic and educational power. They had the power, economic, military, everywhere after the Second War. That means after the Second World War, America became the superpower in all sectors: education, economy, military, and others. And for this reason, America felt the growing demand of foreign expertise. Everybody will be saluting the rising sun. Shurjo Pranam. Shurjo Pranam করেন না? সূর্যকে প্রণাম যখন করে সেটা কিন্তু সূর্য যখন অস্ত যায় সেখানে কিন্তু প্রণাম করে না। সূর্য প্রণাম করে কখন? উদয়ের সময়। And it is the natural instinct of human, of all civilization, that they will be saluting the powerful country. So when America became the powerful country, many expertise বিভিন্ন দেশ থেকে অনেক মানুষ তখন কোথায় যাওয়া শুরু করলো? আমেরিকাতে যাওয়া শুরু করলো। That means that America felt the growing demands of foreign expertise in the teaching of English. সারা পৃথিবীতে ভাষা আছে 7,000 এবং এখানে যে বিদেশিরা আসতে থাকলে আমেরিকাতে তাদের ভাষা হলো প্রায় 120 প্রকারের বা 50 প্রকারের 60 প্রকার। এদেরকে কি করাতে হবে? ইংরেজি শেখাতে হবে। এটা কে ফিল করলো? আমেরিকান গভর্নমেন্ট। And thousands of foreign students entered US universities as well. They want to have higher studies from a university, and many of whom were required to attend English training program before they start their studies. Okay, in case of UK universities, your result is nothing. If you have got honors certificate, that's it. So how you can do masters from UK? If you get 6 or 7 in IELTS. This is the requirement. What's the requirement? The requirement UK university. UK মানে আয়ারল্যান্ড, স্কটল্যান্ড, ওয়েলস সব দেশেরই কথা বলছি এবং ইংল্যান্ড। এদের ইউনিভার্সিটির তারা ভাবে যে আমাদের দেশে একটা স্টুডেন্ট লেখাপড়া করতে পারবে কিনা সে ক্রাইটেরিয়া হলো অনার্সে সে 2 পেয়েছে না 3 পেয়েছে সেটার উপরে না, সে IELTS কত পেয়েছে। IELTS যে যদি সে 7 পায়, ইভেন তাদেরকে তারা 50% টিউশন ফি ওয়েভার দেয়। কেন? তারা বোঝে যে এই ছেলেটার কি লিসেনিং ক্যাপাবিলিটি আছে, স্পিকিং ক্যাপাবিলিটি আছে, রাইটিং ক্যাপাবিলিটি আছে, রিডিং ক্যাপাবিলিটি আছে। ওকে, দ্যাট ইজ দেয়ার স্ট্যান্ডার্ড অফ গেটিং স্টুডেন্টস ইন হায়ার এডুকেশন। America at that time, after the Second World War, they are getting so many students from outside and they don't know English, and for this reason these students should have an English training program before entering their actual course, যেটাকে বলা হয় ফাউন্ডেশন কোর্স। এখন অনেক দেশে আছে, আপনি IELTS দেননি তারপরে তারা করায় ভর্তি নেই, কারণ কি বলবো, দে হ্যাভ রেমিটেন্স ফ্রম দেয়ার এডুকেশন, দে সেল এডুকেশন, উই সেল গার্মেন্টস এন্ড দে সেল এডুকেশন। সো হোয়াট ডু? They have to, the students who don't have IELTS or GRE, they will have to complete a foundation program. That means for 6 months or 3 months or 1 year. After getting recovery of the foundation course, now you are able to catch education from the UK universities. So after the Second World War, USA started such kind of foundation program. চালু করলো, কিন্তু সেখানে তো পড়াতে হবে। কোন মেথডে পড়াবে? Yes. In these factors led to the emergence of American approach of ESL, English as second language, which by the late mid-1950s had become Audiolingualism. So that is the history. The Audiolingualism started with Coleman's report in 1929. He initiated a reading comprehension based method. Next time, USA entered in Second World War, and for this reason there was a growing tendency to teach the officers the target language. And after US victory in the Second World War, lots of expertise were coming to USA, and simultaneously many students were coming to America for higher education, for teaching the expertise population, for teaching the education. Their students coming from the foreign country, they initiated a language program, that is ESL, English as the second language, and that teaching language method can be called audiolingualism. So audiolingualism will have another name that can be called Army method. Audiolingualism will have another name, that is Army method. Okay, so this is the history. Back in 1939, University of Michigan developed the first English language institute in the United States, and it emphasized the training of the teachers and the English as a foreign language, as well as teaching English as a second or the foreign language. So after that, that audiolingualism. So they have got a method, isn't it? The previously all method was initiated by the British scholars or linguists. But here we see that this is the brainchild of American scholars. They have initiated a ESL, English for Second Language program, and that program was also called the Army Bag method, and that program can also be called audiolingualism. Okay, so at that time the director of the institute was Charles Friars, who initiated principles of structural language in language teaching. So Friars and college and systematic attention was given to the sentence and pronunciation by the intense drilling of basic sentence pattern. Pronunciation will be there. You have to teach the foreign speaking fluency, and for this reason you have to pronounce the word correctly, exactly the way the foreigner do. So that is the pronunciation is important in audiolingualism. And this audiolingualism deals with drill. Drill means drilling machine. You have to practice language once. Yes, that is repetition and drill. Repetition and drill. Repetition, drill, more drill, and only enough vocabulary to make such drill possible. So drill will be there. And how drill? After getting drilled, that you will be understood, you will understand the many words, the vocabulary of the target language. That would be the not only the Michigan University was involved in language teaching innovation, but other universities like Georgetown Universities, American University, Washington DC Universities, University of Texas, Austin involved in increasing and supervising English language teaching following this method. What's the method? Audiolingualism or audiolingual method in English language teaching. Okay. So American Council in 1950 learned societies and other contact of the US department were commissioned to develop textbook and other things relating audiolingualism. And one of the textbook we have got, that is the Structural Notes and Corpus, a basis for the preparation of the materials to teach English as the foreign language material, American Council of Learned Societies in 1952. Okay, so they have started such kind of audiolingual method. That is the historical background. Next comes the methodology, how you will be teaching following audiolingualism. So Friar's book Teaching and Learning English as the Foreign Language suggested that foreign language learning problem can be solved by consulting the structural and the phonological difference between native language and the target language. So phonological and the pronunciation. Phonological, that means the pronunciation, and the structural difference will be there. So contrastive analysis will be there, so we can make a comparison between target language and the native language. And
one is phonological, another one?
Structural. Okay, so that would be the way you will be teaching the audiolingual method. And the launching of the first Russian satellite in 1952 acknowledged US need for a more intensive effort to teach foreign language in order to prevent Americans from becoming isolated from the scientific advances made in other countries. The National Defense Education Act 1958 provided funds for the study and analysis of the modern language, for the development of teaching materials, and for the training teachers like that. So that is the methodology of English language teaching. In that case, we have to have the origin. Audiolingualism was first coined by Professor Nelson Brooks in 1964. Okay, so that is the history. But who coined the term? Actually, that is Professor Nelson Brooks. In 1942, he coined the term audiolingualism.
In 1929, Coleman
report
recommendation.
But that recommendation was not in that name, audiolingualism. Audiolingualism namtai diloke Professor Nelson Brooks in 1964. Claimed to transform language teaching from art to science, which would enable learners to achieve mastery for the foreign language effectively. Okay, so that is the origin, and audiolingualism began to fall from the favor of in the late 1950 decades, and it continues to be used today. Okay, so that are the theories involved in audiolingualism. What are the theories? That is structural theories that will also be involved, and language theories will be there, and that theory actually initiated by two other theories, that is the positivism and imperialism. And empiricism, positivism will be declared with the system, that is the data and the experience, and that data, any system that confines itself to data of experience and excludes the prior and metaphysical speculation. And empiricism is a theory that knowledge is based on experience. So this theory, empiricism and positivism, will be involved in audiolingualism. Okay, so the elements of a language was thought to be produced in rule government way, and language symbols could described at any structural level like phonetic, phonemic and phonological units and others. Yeah? That would be the theoretical underpinning of second language acquisition. In that case, we see that is the structured language and the other languages are involved in audio lingualism. And there are some, audiolingualism will have some basis. The foreign language learning is basically the process of mechanical habit formation. These are the principles of audiolingualism. Number one, foreign language learning is basically a process of mechanical habit formation. Language skills are learned more effectively in the items to be learned in the target language are presented in spoken before they are seen in written form. Another principle is that if we read a book for learning the language, audiolingualism believes that if we listen the word first, that would be effective. Number three, analogy provide a better foundation for language learning than analysis. Number four, the meaning of the words of the language have the native speakers can be learned only in linguistic and cultural context, not in isolation. Linguistic and cultural context. Whenever you will be talking to a foreign speakers teachers, then you will have the contact with the person. আপনি যদি আমার জায়গায় যদি একজন ব্রিটিশ এখানে ক্লাস নেন, তাহলে তার সাথে আপনি একটা ডিরেক্ট তাদের কালচারাল লিঙ্কেজ তৈরি হবে, যে তার কালচারটা কীরকম আর আপনার কিছু, এবং কনটেক্সটটাও তৈরি হবে যে আপনি কোন কনটেক্সটে audiolingualism believes so. Advocating these principles, proponents of audiolingualism were drawing on the theory of well-developed school of American psychology and behaviorism. So this theory, the first principle ta ki bolchen, je foreign language learning is basically a process of mechanical habit formation. That is the behaviorist theory in language learning that you will be studying in the second semester. Okay, that means this audiolingualism is related to behaviorist and psychological theory. Behaviorism theory, that means your behavior will be done following things again and again, doing a thing. So if you are punctual for 1 year, that would be a part of your behavior. Okay, so behavior is formed in such a way. So when you will go through drill, when you will go through repetition, that repetition and drill will be the part of your behavior. And psychologically, if you are confident, then you can do that. That is the psychological portion in audiolingualism. Of course, there will be a design. Push the gate, please. And audiolingualism demands a complete reorientation of the foreign language curriculum. Like the 19th century reformer, they advocated a return to speech-based structure, instruction with the primary objectives of oral proficiency and remains the study of grammar. Okay, so that is the design you have to put. There will be the objectives will be there, design will be there, and objectives will be there. Books distinguishes between short range and the long range objectivity of an audiolingual program. Short range objectivities include training in listening comprehension, accurate pronunciation, and recognition of the speech. So that would be the objectives, and syllabus will be there, of course. Which one? Syllabus. Syllabus, that means audiolingualism is linguistic. What you are supposed to, structure-based approach to language teaching. The starting point is a linguistic syllabus which contains the key items of phonology, morphology, and syntax. Okay, the syllabus you will be focusing phonology. Phonology, that means study of sound and the pronunciation. So in the syllabus of audiolingualism, of course, you have to set this pronunciation pattern of the language. And the morphology, that means the significant part of a word. The significant, that means the word structure. How you will be seen in a word. So word will be there, and also syntax, that means the grammatical portion. Syntax, the structure of the sentence. So these are the basic components of the syllabus in audiolingualism. Syllabus এর মধ্যে কি থাকবে? ওয়ার্ডের অ্যানালিসিস থাকবে, প্রোনাউন্সিয়েশনের অ্যানালিসিস থাকবে এবং সেন্টেন্সের অ্যানালিসিস থাকবে। আপনি অন্য এর সাথে অন্য যেগুলোই পড়ান না কেন, কিন্তু এগুলো থাকবে, ফনোলজি, সিনট্যাক্স এন্ড মর্ফোলজি এর সিলেবাসে থাকবে। কোন সিলেবাস? যদি আপনি অডিওলিঙ্গুয়ালিজমে কাউকে ভাষা শেখাতে চান। ওকে,
গ্রামার বেস
নো,
The opposite of grammar.
অপোজিট, সেন্টেক্স, শুধুমাত্র সেন্টেন্স স্ট্রাকচার, ফনোলজি এন্ড মর্ফোলজি। Grammar is not much used over there. Okay, so types of learning and teaching activities. তাহলে এখানে আপনি কি ধরনের সিলেবাসের পরে টিচিং অ্যাক্টিভিটিস, আপনি কি ধরনের টিচিং অ্যাক্টিভিটিস এখানে দেখাবেন বা করাবেন? ওকে, dialogues and drills from the basis of audiolingualism classroom practices. In classroom practices, what I do in this classroom, I am delivering lecture, but in case of audiolingualism, only dialogue and drill. Dialogue, that means the person will be talking, and also drill will be there. What kinds of drill will be there? Okay, look here, look here. What kinds of drill কোনগুলো থাকবে? repetition কিরকম? This is the 7th month, teacher will say, and the learner will say, this is the 7th month. এই 7 এর জায়গায় অনেক সময় this is the, they can say that yes, it is the 6th month, 7th month. Yeah, I used to know him years ago. প্রথমে বললো যে কি, I used to know him, এটা লার্নার বললো, তারপরে এটার সাথে আবার দুটো ওয়ার্ড যোগ করবে। I used to know him years ago, তারপরে আবার লার্নার আরো যোগ করতে পারে, I used to know him years ago when we were in school. So they will start with the first one. This is the 6th month. Always say, this is the 7th month, this is the 8th month, this is the 9th month, this is the 10th month. তার মানে কি, এই 6, 7, 8, 9 এই একটা ড্রিলের মধ্যে আপনি এগুলা শিখে গেলেন। So I know him years ago, I know him, first sentence. Second drill, I know him years ago, I know him years ago when we were at school. Okay, so years ago when we were at school, that was also, and every sentence will be drill মানে কি, একবার না কিন্তু, এটা কতবার? অনেকবার, several times. হয়তো বা কোনো 10 ঘন্টার সেশনে এরকম 5 থেকে 10টা। Okay, so next time we will see repetition will be there. Then also reflection. I bought the tickets. প্রথমত বললো কি, I bought the ticket. Next কি, I bought the tickets. Simultaneously একটা টিকিটের অর্থ টিকিট এবং অনেকগুলো টিকিটের অর্থ কি, টিকেটস। তার মানে এখানে আপনাকে কি সিঙ্গুলার প্লুরালও আপনাকে শেখাই দিল। ওকে, I bought the candy, she bought the candy. এখানে দেখেন, এখানে that means they will be teaching the প্রোনাউনও শেখাচ্ছে। I bought the, he bought the candy, she bought the candy. প্রথমত he bought the candy, I called the young man, তারপরে এখানে ম্যান বলছে, আর পরে কি বলছে, মেন। ওকে, তার মানে সিঙ্গুলার প্লুরালও শেখাচ্ছে, প্রোনাউনও শেখাচ্ছে, সবগুলোই শেখাচ্ছে কি, কার মধ্যে দিয়ে? ড্রিল। রিপ্লেসমেন্টস, হি বট দিস হাউস চিপ। এই দিস হাউস যেটা ইটালিক করা আছে সেই জায়গায় কি বলছে, ইট। আই বট ইট চিপ। প্রথমত কি বলছে, আই বট দিস হাউস চিপ, নেক্সট টাইম বলছে কি, আই বট ইট চিপ। তার মানে এই দিস হাউসের জায়গায় কি বসিয়েছেন উনি, ইট। সো রিস্টেটমেন্ট, টেল হিম টু ওয়েট ফর মি, এরপরে বলছে ওয়েট ফর মি। ওকে, টেল হিম টু ওয়েট ফর মি, দেন ওয়েট ফর মি। সো দিস আর দ্য টিচিং অ্যাক্টিভিটিস, দিস ড্রিল। Audiolingualism drill and dialogue will be the components. So what kind of drill will be there? That is the examples. Repetition, drill, replacement. Okay, and also restatement. Tell him to wait for it. Completion. I will go my way. You go. You go. বলে এটা complete করতে হবে. So I will go my way. You go yours. আমি আমার পথে যাব, আপনি আপনার পথে যান। We all have own troubles. We all have our own troubles. So through this completion you can also transposition. I am hungry. এটাকে বলা হয় so I am. তার মানে কি ডায়লগ কিন্তু। কেউ দুইজন যাচ্ছেন, হাঁটতে হাঁটতে ক্লান্ত হয়ে গেছেন, একজন বন্ধু বলল I am hungry. তাহলে পরের জন কি বলবে? উনিও কি বলবে যে আই এম হাংরি টু, এটাই তো বলবে। কিন্তু এটা কি আবার অন্যভাবে বলা হয়েছে, so am I, so am I, so am I will never do it again, neither will I. হ্যাঁ? আমি এটা কখনো করবো না, বলো যে অবশ্যই আমিও এটা করবো না। এক্সপানশন, আই নো হিম হার্ডলি, আমি খুব কদাচিতই তাকে চিনি, খুব বেশি তাকে জানি না। ওকে, আই হার্ডলি নো হিম। ওকে, দ্যাট ইজ দ্য এক্সপানশন। And contraction means put your hand on the table. Put your hand on the table. এই on the table টাকে আমি কি করে দিলাম, ওদিকে চাপ দিয়ে দিলাম, দিয়েছে কন্ট্রাক্ট করে দিলাম। ঠিক আছে, put your hand there, put your hand there। তাহলে there এর জায়গায় কি বললাম, on the table এর জায়গায় এই তিনটা ওয়ার্ডের জায়গায় একটা ওয়ার্ড, সেটা কি বললাম, there, put your hand there। They believe that earth is flat, they believe it, that the earth is flat, এই পুরো ওয়ার্ডের জন্য একটা ওয়ার্ড কি, heat। ওকে, that is the contraction। Okay, transformation, I know my address, he knows my address, he doesn't know my address, he knows my address, he doesn't know my address। Okay, and integration, they must be honest, this is important, it is important that they be honest। Okay, and also rejoinder, so all time this practice, this type of interaction will be there in the class if you are supposed to apply audiolingualism। Okay, এই যে ক্যাটেগরিগুলো সেগুলো আপনারা ফলো করে আমরা পড়াতে পারি। ওকে, then learners roles, learners are very much active। Learners role, learners are viewed as organism and can be directed by skill training techniques to produce correct responses। Well, repeat after me, please give me a glass of water, glass of water, glass of water। এখন 10 জনের মধ্যে কেউ বলতেছেন আর কেউ বলতেছেন, কেউ আস্তে বলতেছেন, কেউ জোরে বলতেছেন। যিনি আস্তে বলতেছেন তারটা তো শোনা যাচ্ছে না, সো তারটাও শুনতে হলে সে কারেক্টলি সেই ওয়ার্ডটা বলতেছে কিনা, এটার জন্য সবাইকেই সেখানে লার্নারদের কি হতে হবে, ইনভলভমেন্ট থাকতে হবে। ওকে, সো প্রডিউস কারেক্ট রেসপন্সেস, মানে প্রকৃত অর্থে লার্নার সেই জিনিসটা বলছে কিনা বা করছে কিনা এটা থাকতে হবে। ইন অ্যাকর্ডেন্স উইথ দ্য বিহেভিয়ার্স লার্নিং থিওরি, টিচিং ফোকাসেস অন দ্য এক্সটার্নাল ম্যানিফেস্টেশন অফ লার্নিং রেদার দেন অন টু দ্য ইন্টারনাল প্রসেস। ওকে, এক্সটার্নাল প্রসেস, আপনি যখন if you hear a word, that will come in your brain and it will process internally, isn't it? But audiolingualism doesn't believe so. That means whether this is processing, it is internal process, no, that should be done external process। External process কি, আপনি সাথে সাথে শোনার সাথে সাথে সেটা কি করছেন, বলতেছেন। Okay, that would be the learner's role। In audiolingualism, as the situational language teaching, teacher's role is central and active। Teacher's role is central and active। Teachers will be the driver, teacher will be the captain, teacher will be the conductor, everything। Role models of the target language control the direction, pace of learning and the monitors and corrects the learner's performance। The teacher must keep the learners attentive by varying drills and tasks and choosing relative things। Okay, so how they can have the attraction, that means that would be the teacher's role, and teachers make every learner involved in that activities or in those activities। Okay, that is the teacher's role। In role of instructional materials, as this is also important, that of course there will be the role, and the role play vital role in case of second language learning. There will be the procedure in which way you will be applying the methods, the modeling of the all learning by the teachers, the subordination of the mother tongue to the second language by rendering English inactive while new language is being learned। Okay, and there is some other things। Okay, student first hear a model dialogue, another way instruction procedure understand। এখন ফরেন ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ টিচার আপনি পান নাই, তাহলে কিভাবে অডিওলিঙ্গুয়ালিজম ক্লাস করবেন? Then at that case the tape recorder can play the vital role. So tape recorder, students hear a model dialogue containing the key structure of the focus in the lesson, and the report is like YouTube. If you get the foreign media will express someone's method, speaks or dialogue. Okay, বাট মিডিয়াতে আপনি যেটা বলবেন সেটা প্রকাশ করবে। মিডিয়াতে তো আর ফরেন স্পিকার টিচার সে আর বলবে না, যদি উনি না কোনো লেকচার ইউটিউবে হচ্ছে আপলোড করেন। ওকে, সো দ্যাট উড বি দ্য ডায়লগ ইজ অ্যাডাপ্টেড টু দ্য স্টুডেন্টস ইন্টারেস্ট অর সিচুয়েশন। আপনি এমন ডায়লগ করলেন যেটা থেকে স্টুডেন্টদের কোনো আগ্রহী নেই, ওকে, কিন্তু যেটাতে আগ্রহ আছে সেরকম। সো দিস উইল বি, বাট আফটার দ্যাট অডিওলিঙ্গুয়ালিজম অলসো ডিক্লাইন উইথ সাম ক্লুজ, ওকে, সাম স্পেশালি regarding the Chomsky's theory of innatism বললেন চমস্কি MIT প্রফেসর বললেন যে আসলে হ্যাবিট ফরমেশন দিয়ে ভাষা শেখা যায় না, আসলে ভাষা আসলে ব্রেনের মধ্যে প্রসেস হয়, তখন এটার একটা so audiolingualism holds the language learning is like the other forms of learning. Since language is formal, role governed system, it can be formally organized to maximize teaching and learning efficiently, and audiolingualism stresses the mechanical aspects of language learning and language use. Okay, so there are some advantages. They use the visual aids to effective in vocabulary teaching. This method is just functional and easy to execute for larger groups. Correct pronunciation and structure are emphasized and acquired. There will have some disadvantages as well. প্রত্যেক হাতের যেমন এদিক আছে সাদা আছে, এটারও কাজ আছে, এটারও কাজ আছে। এটার হাতের যদি এটা হতো তাহলে তো হাত দিয়ে কিছু আমরা ধরতে পারতাম না। The behaviorist approach to learning is now discredited. Behaviorist approach, that means language learning will be habit formation. It doesn't pay sufficient attention to communicate competence. Only language form is considered while meaning is neglected. Equal importance is not given to all four skills. It is teacher dominated method. It is another. Okay, so thank you very much for attending this class. Okay, there we'll have some break, and after the break we can continue.